June 13th, 2026. Well, we have a few things to discuss on this one. I guess we'll get to the issue, of course, the title is Peace at Hand or Not. It's been kind of an off and on discussion, as we well know. At any rate, first of all, I guess Disclosure Day is out now. I haven't seen it yet, but I probably will in a few days because of various schedule conflicts I've got going on. That should be interesting. And of course, I guess on the immediate kind of flash news is that this Nina Guerrero of the Trinidad drug cartel has been killed by U.S. forces, I guess somewhere in Mexico. So I guess President Trump has turned the war on drugs into a real war on drugs. I mean, literally. In addition to blowing up all the drug boats, now they're picking off key leaders. Sort of like, I think he learned something from the Israelis, perhaps. Anyhow, and so that's has occurred. And let's see what else. So, at any rate, that's kind of the main kind of topics here we got. And so let's get into, well, first of all, before I get into the rest of the thing, we have to also point out that Graham Platner, the candidate for Senate who's won the Democratic nomination in Maine, has got some new and very, very strong moral support. Hunter Biden has come out and endorsed him. And I mean, with a guy with a character like Graham Platner, you know, a real man's man who his father bought his house for him, as I understand, and a person of interesting character has another person of sterling character. Hunter Biden is on his team. So if you like guys like Hunter Biden, you'll like somebody like Graham Platner for senator, I'm sure. So I think, well, that's so crazy, it's unbelievable. But anyhow, that's what's going on. So if you like these videos, please give me a like and subscribe. Click the bell for notifications. And you can also follow me on Rumble as I post there. And now on to the main topic. Of course, it looks like President Trump thinks he's finally got a deal with the Iranians that will give us everything most of what we want, sort of. A memorandum of understanding, which supposedly would do such things as open up the Strait of Hormuz so we can get the oil prices coming down and therefore gasoline prices and so forth, sort of curb this inflationary trend, which we hit 4.2% in the last report. That's not good. And so it'd be good to get them coming down. And apparently we're not going to give them any of their money back until they fulfill the terms of this thing, is what he's saying. And part of it again has to do with their uranium hexafluoride that's been enriched to 60% U-235. And of course, this has to be, quote, destroyed. Of course, you really can't destroy it, really. It's not like you can burn it up or something. And so the hexafluoride issue isn't the real issue. It's the uranium part. And that's the part that's going to be very hard to get rid of, unless you put it in a reactor or something. But in reality, what they're really talking about, that's one of the things you get from my videos you may not get from the news. I can explain what the process really is. They're talking about the idea of taking it and getting, natural uranium hexafluoride, where the U-235 content is only about 0.7%, and then mixing that up in large quantity, and then with the enriched you get the enrichment down to some lower level, like reactor grade of say 3% or so. And that's what they're talking about doing, actually. So you would just be diluting it, basically. Now, if you dilute it, I don't know what the point of removing it from the country is. If you dilute it, you don't need to remove it. If you just remove it as it is, remove it, you don't have to dilute it. So, I don't know. It seemed like they said both. I don't know what's wrong with them having reactor-grade uranium, because that could be used to fuel the reactor they got. But the civilian. At any rate, and so that's the idea there. And so hopefully we can get that done and get out of this, turn this into a success. The issue is that we're still talking about like 60-day agreements and the final details of the uranium thing need to be worked out, because again, we don't know what the details of the uranium are, as I pointed out previously. You know, we don't know where it is. Is it buried under the rubble of the midnight hammer strikes, or has it been removed before that and put in certain secretive warehouses where it's readily accessible? And depending on the outcome of that would depend a lot on what could really be done, I think. So, and I don't know if they've got into that part of the discussion yet or not. That's a little tricky thing. And I don't know anything else. I mean, it sounds like, on the other hand, the Iranians are denying these key parts that we've claimed are in the agreement. And so, well, that's going to be a problem potentially. One possibility is that they're telling their own people one thing and they're telling us another. And the real question, I guess, is what's on the deal that would be signed by the vice president when and if such a meeting occurs somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be. Pakistan. I've heard also Switzerland. I don't know. But that's what's in the for here. And if we can get this done, then after the idea then, I guess, is after they open the Straits of Hormuz, then we can start letting ships through, and I don't know, maybe we meter them at some percentage or something, like here comes an Iranian ship full of oil, and then here comes a Saudi and a Kuwaiti and a, you know, UAE or whatever, and they all get to pass through without getting shot at. So then we can send the next Iranian ship through with the rest of it, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, that's kind of the situation, and we hope it goes through and doesn't blow up again. Otherwise, I guess we'll have to go back and do a few more airstrikes. It does seem like that, you know, that you can't just have a passive situation. You have to do a few airstrikes from time to time to get their attention. We'll see if this works out. I hope it does, because the real issue to me, more than anything else here, of course, is the fall election and seeing if we can at least keep the Senate. I mean, the House, I hope, but tradition is that these off-year elections are pretty bad for the party in power, regardless of how things are going. If there isn't increasing inflation, if there isn't an indecisive conflict in the Middle East and so forth. So, you know, that's always been and the poll numbers still look like garbage. So I don't know what everybody's thinking about or what they really want, but, you know, whatever. And to me, getting into it a little bit here, I think the Republicans need to start emphasizing more and more what they've really done. I mean, people are missing the point that the one big beautiful bill prevented a big tax increase. Everybody who pays taxes, and even people who aren't paying taxes and would be paying taxes, would have had a big tax increase if that bill hadn't have passed. And that is not about the tax on tip stuff or any of those nice little add-ons for selected groups of people. I'm talking about for the whole bulk of taxpayers. Yet everybody is sort of ignoring that and just talking about these spot deals. Sure, the spot deals should be brought up, but the key thing that should be brought up repeatedly is that they prevented a big tax increase. Because what is the guarantee that the Democrats would have actually passed an extension of the tax cuts of 2017? I think very low. Now, I think that selected people would probably get some kind of a tax deal. I think they probably would have. But I think the bulk of people, particularly people that are seriously in the middle class to maybe the upper middle class, that group of people, I think, would have been hit fairly hard. And I think that maybe the poorest group of people, the ones that, you know, got removed from the tax rolls by that at the bottom, might still be removed. They might have found a way to extend those cuts. But I think they probably then found a way to put some increases on some other people while they're doing it. That's what I think we'd have had. So, and I think that's something that really needs to be emphasized more and more. So, at any rate, that's kind of the main points I want to hit here on this video, and we'll just have to see what happens. Of course, the SpaceX IPO came out today, and I guess it settled somewhere above, what was it, 150 something, 55? I forget what it was exactly. But it's above the original offer price of 135 that the people got on the IPO got. And I didn't get on it, so because I didn't apply for it. I don't know. It seemed a little bit on the expensive side, but who knows? It might be a good long-term investment. But on the other hand, I mean, a space investment can be a little interesting. It does look like this whole thing about, data centers in space may be gaining some traction because of all the opposition to data centers on Earth. And so that is one thing that, would be interesting, to see if that works out. In a way, it makes a little bit sense for space-based solar power, because previously this has been generally talked about, putting solar panels in space and then using, say, microwaves or even laser, and I think in the infrared spectrum, if I remember correctly, to beam the stuff down to receptors on Earth. But this makes more sense, just using the power in space for the data centers up there, and so all you're sending back and forth fundamentally is data. So we'll see how that goes, but at any rate, that may be one of the big things that's in there, as well as, of course, the rockets will support various space program efforts. And after all, they have definitely reduced the cost to orbit and making orbital space much more profitable. And of course, they're part of the Artemis moon program. And with the explosion of the New Glenn rocket a while back, that may be the only one available to be used in the Apollo 3 orbital docking mission. So anyway, that's about it for this time. As always, I post this on YouTube and Rumble, and the addresses of my social media accounts are in the description below. So all for this time.